The massive alien space station hung in the darkness like a jewel. It was 5 times the size of Earth's moon, with thousands of lights glowing across its surface. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it. Captain Tom Adams took a deep breath as he looked out the window of his ship, the Earth Voyager *. After years of work, humans had finally built ships that could travel faster than light. Now, they were about to join the Galactic Council. "Are you ready, Captain?" asked Mark, his second in command. Tom nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's make Earth proud." The small team of humans wore their best uniforms. They had practiced for months for this moment. The ship docked at the station with a gentle bump. When the doors opened, they saw aliens of all kinds waiting for them. Some had blue skin, others had 4 arms, and one group looked like walking trees. But all of them were watching the humans with curious eyes. A tall, thin alien with silver skin stepped forward. He had a long face and eyes that showed he had seen many, many years. "I am Elder Krell of the Eldar," he said in perfect English. "We have been watching your planet for some time. Welcome to the Galactic Hub." Tom bowed slightly. "Thank you, Elder Krell. I am Captain Tom Adams, representing Earth and all humans. We are honored to be here." The silver alien led them through the station to a large room where even more aliens waited. Tom noticed they were all much taller than his team. "The Council will now welcome Earth," said a voice from above. Tom and his team stood in the center of the room. One by one, representatives from different alien races came forward, saying a few words about peace and cooperation. Then Elder Krell stepped forward again. "We are glad to add humans to our community, though we find your species quite interesting." He smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "How so?" Tom asked. "Well, your lifespans, for one thing," Krell said. "Most species here live for hundreds of years. I myself am over 800 years old. But you humans—" He looked at Tom with pity. "You barely reach 100 years. How do you accomplish anything at all?" A sound like laughter moved through the crowd of aliens. "We make good use of our time," Tom said firmly, keeping his face calm even though he felt angry inside. "I'm sure you try," said Krell. "But imagine how limited you must feel. Why, I have plants in my garden older than your oldest humans." More laughter filled the room. Tom saw Mark's face turning red with anger. "We may not live as long," Tom said, "but we have learned much in our short time among the stars." "Yes, yes," said Krell, waving his hand. "And we look forward to teaching you so much more. Perhaps we can even help you extend those tragic little lifespans of yours." The meeting continued, but Tom could feel the aliens' eyes on them. They were seen as children, as lesser beings because they didn't live for centuries. Later, in their private room on the station, Mark punched a wall in frustration. "They think we're jokes," he said. "They invited us here just to laugh at us." Tom looked out at the stars. "For now, they can think what they want. But they don't understand humans yet. We may not live for 800 years, but we've survived and grown stronger on a planet that tried to kill us 1,000 different ways." He turned to his team. "They laugh now because they don't know the truth about us. But they will learn. And I think they'll be surprised by what humans can do, even in our short lives." Little did the aliens know, humans had qualities they couldn't even imagine. Qualities that would soon change everything. 6 months had passed since first contact. Humans now had their own small area on the Galactic Hub, which they called the Earth Embassy. It wasn't very big or impressive compared to the other alien sections, but it was theirs. Dr. Jane Miller looked through her microscope at the alien cell sample. As Earth's best xenobiologist, she had been studying alien biology since they arrived. What she saw made her sit up straight. "That's strange," she said to herself. The door to her lab opened, and Captain Tom Adams walked in. He looked tired. Dealing with the alien races every day wasn't easy, especially with Elder Krell always making comments about humans' short lives. "How's the research going, Jane?" Tom asked. Jane waved him over excitedly. Look at this. I've been comparing cells from different alien species. They all have something in common. Tom looked through the microscope but didn't understand what he was seeing. What am I looking for? Cell regeneration, Jane explained. Every living thing's cells get damaged and need to be replaced. Human cells replace themselves very quickly. But these alien cells, she pointed to the screen, they regenerate extremely slowly. Tom frowned. What does that mean? It means, Jane said, that these aliens might live for centuries, but their bodies repair damage very, very slowly. It's like they're built to last a long time without needing repairs. She pulled up images of human cells on another screen. Our cells are completely different. We repair and replace cells constantly, at a much faster rate. Tom thought about this. So we're like buildings that are always under construction, while they're like buildings made of stone that rarely need fixing. Exactly. Jane smiled. But here's the interesting part. This might be why they live so long. Their bodies don't wear out quickly because everything happens slowly. But it also means they don't adapt quickly to new threats. Tom remembered the mocking looks of the aliens. Can we use this information somehow? Jane nodded slowly. I think we need to study this more. If humans have special cellular abilities, maybe we could help aliens with medical problems they can't solve themselves. Later that week, Tom met with Admiral Wilson, who had just arrived from Earth. They talked in a secure room where no aliens could listen. Dr. Miller's findings are fascinating, said Admiral Wilson after hearing Tom's report. The Council thinks we're weak because we don't live long, but they don't understand Earth's harsh environment forced us to evolve differently. What should we do? Tom asked. Admiral Wilson's face was serious. I'm approving a new research project called the Adaptation Initiative. Dr. Miller will lead it. We'll study how human cellular regeneration might benefit other species. Elder Krell won't like humans working on alien biology, Tom warned. He still treats us like children. The Admiral smiled. Then it's time they learned what human children can do. Keep this quiet for now. We're not trying to change how aliens live, but we need to understand our own strengths. As Tom left the meeting, he saw Elder Krell in the main hall, surrounded by other Eldar. Krell looked over at Tom with that same pitying smile. Ah, Ambassador Adams, Krell called out. I was just telling my friends about your Earth years. Imagine, they complete a full orbit around their sun before they even notice. For us, a year is but a moment. The other aliens chuckled politely. Tom smiled back. We may experience time differently, Elder Krell, but that gives us a unique perspective. Sometimes the fastest runners see things that others miss. Krell looked confused by Tom's confidence, but Tom just nodded politely and walked away. In her lab, Jane was already working late into the night, studying more alien samples. She didn't know it yet, but her research would soon become more important than anyone could imagine. 3 years had passed since humans joined the galactic community. Earth now had trading partners among the stars, and human ships traveled between several alien worlds. Tom Adams had been promoted to ambassador, and Dr. Jane Miller continued her research on alien biology. Then the reports started coming in. Ambassador Adams, we have an emergency, said Lisa, Tom's assistant, as she rushed into his office on the galactic hub. Tom looked up from his work. What's happened? A strange illness is spreading through the Proxima system, Lisa explained, handing him a data tablet. Then it jumped to 6 other systems. Thousands of aliens are sick, and hundreds have already died. Tom scanned the report with growing concern. Have any humans been affected? Lisa shook her head. That's the strange part. There are human traders and diplomats in all those systems, but not one has gotten sick. Before Tom could respond, his communication screen lit up. Elder Krell's face appeared, looking strained and tired. Ambassador Adams, Krell said, his voice lacking its usual smugness. The Council requests your presence immediately. The council chamber was filled with worried representatives from all over the galaxy. Many seats were empty, their usual occupants either sick or unable to travel because of quarantines. The head counselor, a tall blue alien named Traz, called for silence. This plague has spread faster than anything we've seen in 10,000 years. Our best scientists cannot find a cure or even understand how it works. Elder Krell stood up. He looked older somehow, less confident. We have observed that humans seem immune to this disease. The Council formally requests Earth's assistance in this crisis. Tom felt all eyes in the room turn to him. 3 years ago, these same aliens had laughed at humans for their short lives. Now they needed help. Earth will do everything possible to help, Tom said. I'll contact our medical teams immediately. Later that day, Tom met with Jane in her lab. The Council is desperate, he told her. This plague is attacking their neural pathways, causing their brains to shut down. Jane was already reviewing the data from infected planets. I think I know why humans aren't affected, she said. Remember my research on cell regeneration. This disease targets cells that regenerate slowly, like those in alien brains. Human cells replace themselves too quickly for the disease to take hold. Can your adaptation initiative help? Tom asked. Jane nodded slowly. Maybe. We've been studying how to use human stem cells to help aliens heal faster. We're not ready for testing yet, but we don't have time to wait. Tom made a decision. I'll tell the Council you're bringing a team to the quarantine zone. The next day, Jane led 20 human doctors and scientists onto a ship bound for the center of the outbreak. They brought special equipment and samples from Jane's research. In the main affected system, they found hospitals overflowing with sick aliens of all species. The doctors looked lost and helpless. Jane set up her lab in the largest hospital. After examining many patients, she confirmed her theory. The disease freezes cell regeneration completely, she explained to her team. For species that already regenerate slowly, it's a death sentence. Their bodies simply can't replace the damaged cells. One of the doctors looked grim. What can we do? Jane opened a container holding special human stem cells she had modified in her lab on the hub. We need to teach their bodies to regenerate faster, like humans do. It's risky, but it's their only chance. Just then, Tom called with news. Jane, Elder Krell has been infected. He's being brought to your hospital. Jane took a deep breath. Then he'll be our first test subject. Are you sure? Tom asked. No, Jane admitted. But if we can save the alien who most looked down on human lifespans, maybe they'll all finally understand the truth about us. The quarantine hospital was filled with dying aliens. Doctors rushed between beds, but they couldn't do much to help. In the center of this chaos stood Dr. Jane Miller and her team of human scientists. Elder Krell lay on a special bed, his silver skin now dull and gray. He looked much older than when he had mocked humans at their first meeting. His eyes followed Jane as she checked the equipment around him. Human, he said weakly, have you come to watch me die? Jane shook her head. I've come to try to save you, Elder Krell. Krell made a sound that might have been a laugh. How ironic. The short-lived human trying to save the ancient Eldar. Life isn't just about how long you live, Jane said as she prepared her equipment. It's about how well your body adapts to challenges. She showed him a screen with 2 different cell images. This is one of your cells, she explained, pointing to the first image. And this is a human cell. Notice the difference. Krell looked but said nothing. Your cells regenerate very slowly. That's why you live so long. Nothing wears out quickly. But when something attacks your cells, like this plague, they can't defend themselves fast enough. Jane pointed to the human cell. Our cells are constantly dying and being replaced. We've evolved this way because Earth is dangerous, full of radiation, diseases, and physical threats. What does this matter now? Krell asked. It matters, Jane said, because we can use human stem cells to teach your body to regenerate faster. It might save your life. Krell's eyes widened. You would do this? After how I treated your kind? Jane prepared a syringe. We're humans. Helping others is what we do. The treatment was painful. Krell shook and cried out as the modified human stem cells entered his body. Jane monitored his vital signs carefully through the night. By morning, she was exhausted but hopeful. His neural patterns are stabilizing, she told her team. The human stem cells are teaching his body to regenerate faster. Over the next 3 days, they treated hundreds more aliens, refining the process each time. Tom Adams arrived to check on their progress and found Jane looking tired but happy. It's working, Tom, she said. We've saved over 80% of the patients we've treated. Tom looked around at the recovering aliens. That's amazing, Jane. The council will be grateful. There's something else they should know, Jane said, lowering her voice. The treatment has a side effect we didn't expect. Tom frowned. What kind of side effect? Before Jane could answer, Elder Krell walked up to them. He was standing on his own but moving differently than before, more quickly, with more energy. Dr. Miller, he said, your treatment saved my life. But something has changed in me. Jane nodded. I was just telling Ambassador Adams. The accelerated cell regeneration has altered your body's natural processes. What does this mean? Krell asked. Jane took a deep breath. It means you won't live for 800 more years as you expected. Based on our tests, your lifespan has been shortened. By how much? Tom asked. Significantly, Jane said. The treated aliens will likely live only 100 to 150 more years at most. Krell stared at Jane. You've taken centuries from me. No, Jane said firmly. I saved the years you have left. Without treatment, you would have died this week. The plague left us no choice. Krell was silent for a long moment. So now I will live like a human. In a way, Jane said. But you'll also heal like a human. Your body will be more resilient, more adaptable. You'll experience more in those years than you would have in your slow-moving centuries. Tom watched as understanding began to dawn on Krell's face. The treatment will be offered to all infected aliens, Jane continued. But they need to understand the trade-off. Longer life versus stronger life. Krell looked at the humans with new eyes. Perhaps, he said slowly, we had much to learn from humans after all. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was packed. Representatives from every world affected by the plague had come to hear Dr. Jane Miller explain the human treatment that had saved thousands of lives. Jane stood at the center, with Tom Adams and Elder Krell beside her. The crowd whispered as they looked at Krell. The once slow and stately Eldar now moved with more energy. His silver skin had a brighter shine, but everyone knew he would live for far fewer years than before. Silence, called the head counselor Traz. Dr. Miller will now explain what the human treatment has done. Jane stepped forward. The plague attacked your neural pathways because your cells regenerate very slowly. Our treatment taught your bodies to regenerate cells quickly, like humans do. This stopped the plague, but it changed how your bodies work. A tall, tree-like alien raised a branch. You have shortened our lives. My people lived for 600 years before your treatment. Now you say we will live only 150. Angry murmurs spread through the hall. Tom stepped forward. Without treatment, you would have died last month. The plague gave us no choice. Jane held up her hands. Please listen. There's something important you need to understand about lifespans. The room quieted. In nature, there's always a trade-off, Jane explained. Your species evolved on peaceful worlds with few threats. You developed long lives but slow adaptation. Humans evolved on a dangerous planet with radiation, predators, and disease. We developed fast healing and quick adaptation, but shorter lives. She showed images on the large screen. This is the cosmic truth. Longevity comes at the cost of adaptability. Elder Krell stepped forward. The council was surprised to see him move so quickly. I have lived for 800 years, he said. In that time, I learned many things, but I changed very little. In just 1 month since receiving the human treatment, I have felt more alive than in the last century." "What do you mean?" asked a confused council member. "My mind is faster. My body heals overnight instead of taking years. I feel everything more intensely," Krell explained. "Humans aren't short-lived by accident. They're short-lived by design." Jane nodded. "Evolution gave humans the ability to pack more living into fewer years. We experience life more intensely. We heal faster, learn faster, and adapt faster." The council members looked at each other, trying to understand. "Think of it this way," Tom said. "If you live for 800 years, but spend most of it moving and thinking slowly, how much living do you actually do? Humans might live for 100 years, but we never slow down. We're always changing, growing, and experiencing new things." An old alien in the back stood up. "Are you saying that humans actually experience more life than we do, despite living fewer years?" "In many ways, yes," Jane replied. "It's quality versus quantity. You might count time in centuries, but we count it in experiences." The room was quiet as everyone considered this idea. Krell turned to face the council. "I once mocked humans for their short lives. Now I understand what I didn't see before. My first 800 years were lived at a distance, like watching life through thick glass. Now, with this treatment, I truly feel the universe around me." He looked at Jane and Tom with new respect. "Humans don't just exist for 100 years. They live for 100 years. Every moment counts for them in ways we never understood." The head counselor Traz spoke after a long silence. "Dr. Miller, what does this mean for our future?" Jane looked around the room. "It means you have a choice. Those who survive the plague will live shorter but more vibrant lives. Others can choose to remain as they are, with long but slower lives, or they can choose the human way." As Jane finished speaking, she saw something new in the alien's eyes. It wasn't pity or mockery anymore. It was understanding, and perhaps just a little bit of envy. 5 years had passed since the plague. The galactic hub looked different now. Humans walked the halls alongside aliens of all kinds, but something had changed in how they treated each other. Tom Adams sat in his office, looking at reports from across the galaxy. Earth now had trading agreements with 32 alien worlds. Human doctors were welcome everywhere, and human ideas about living fully had spread far and wide. His door opened, and Elder Krell walked in. The changes in him were even more noticeable now. He moved quickly and with purpose. His eyes were bright and alert. "Ambassador Adams," Krell said with a smile, "the council meeting is about to start. Are you ready?" Tom nodded and gathered his papers. "I never thought I'd see the day when humans would have a real voice in the council." Krell laughed. It was a sound that would have been rare from him in the old days. "Much has changed since we first met. I remember how I mocked your short human life." "And now?" Tom asked as they walked through the crowded halls. "Now I understand what I was missing," Krell said. "Living faster means experiencing more. Since taking Dr. Miller's treatment, I have learned 3 new languages, visited 20 planets, and even started painting. In the last 5 years, I have lived more than in the previous 100. They entered the Great Council chamber. Many of the aliens there moved with the same quickness that Krell now showed. About half the galaxy's species had chosen to take modified versions of Jane's treatment, trading centuries of slow existence for decades of vibrant life. "The meeting of the Galactic Full Council will now begin," announced Head Counselor Traz. "Our first order of business, voting on Earth's application for full membership." Tom held his breath. For years, humans had been treated as junior partners, not full members. Today, that might change. "Those in favor?" Traz asked. Nearly every representative raised their hand or tentacle or branch. "Those opposed?" Only a few of the most traditional, long-lived species voted no. "The motion passes," Traz declared. "Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities. Applause filled the chamber. Tom felt a lump in his throat. Humans had come so far from being mocked for their short lives. Later that day, Tom visited Jane's lab. It had grown from a small room to an entire research center. Alien scientists now worked alongside humans, studying the balance between longevity and adaptability. "I heard the news," Jane said, hugging Tom. "Earth is finally a full council member." "We couldn't have done it without you," Tom replied. "Your research changed everything." Jane smiled. It wasn't just the treatment. It was helping them understand the human perspective on time and life. A young alien researcher approached them. "Dr. Miller, we finished analyzing the data from the cultural survey." Jane looked at the results and grinned. "Tom, look at this. Across the galaxy, species that took the treatment are adopting human approaches to time management and experience seeking." Tom read the report with amazement. Adventure tourism up 500%. Art production increased by 300%. Learning new skills late in life now common among former long-lived species. "They're living like humans now," Jane explained, "making every moment count." As they talked, Elder Krell appeared at the door with an older Eldar who moved slowly and looked at everything with mild disdain. "Ambassador, Dr. Miller," Krell said, "this is Elder Vorn, my former teacher. He has finally agreed to hear about the treatment." The older Eldar looked at Krell with shock. "You move like water now, not like stone. Is this truly better?" Krell smiled. "I may have fewer years ahead, but they will be full years. I was asleep before, Vorn. Humans taught me how to be awake." As Tom watched them talk, he realized that humans had given the galaxy more than medicine. They had given a new philosophy, life measured not in years, but in moments fully lived. The species that once laughed at human brevity now understood the truth. Humans had mastered the art of living efficiently. 20 years had passed since humans first joined the galactic community. The galactic hub was now twice its original size, with Earth's section growing larger every year. Dr. Jane Miller walked slowly through the halls. Her hair had turned white, and her face showed the lines of age. At 75, she was preparing to retire and return to Earth. As she entered the observation deck, she saw Elder Krell waiting for her. He too had aged, but differently than before. Instead of the slow, barely noticeable aging of the Elder, he now showed clear signs of time's passage. His silver skin had some wrinkles, and his movements, while still energetic, weren't as quick as before. "Dr. Miller," he said warmly, "thank you for meeting me before you leave." Jane smiled. "Of course, Krell. Though I'm not sure you can call yourself Elder anymore. You moved too quickly for that title." Krell laughed. "You're right. Most of us who took the treatment have dropped that old title. It belongs to the slow path we left behind." They looked out at the stars together. "I wanted to show you something," Krell said, activating a holographic display. "These are the latest studies of children born to parents who took your treatment." Jane studied the data with interest. "This is fascinating. Their cells show natural accelerated regeneration without needing the treatment." Krell nodded. "Yes, the next generation of many species are naturally developing faster regeneration cycles. It's as if the universe is validating the human evolutionary path." "Evolution always finds efficient solutions," Jane said. "Perhaps humans just got there first, because Earth was such a challenging planet." "That's what I wanted to tell you before you return home," Krell said. "The treatment you created didn't just save us from the plague. It helped us evolve. The galaxy is changing, becoming more human." Jane thought about this. Not becoming human, exactly. Just finding the same balance we did. As they talked, a group of young aliens ran past, laughing and playing. Some were species that had once moved so slowly they seemed like statues. Now they darted about with joy and energy. 20 years ago, they would have taken a full day just to cross this room, Krell said. Now look at them. Tom Adams joined them, his ambassador's uniform adorned with new medals. There you are. The ceremony is about to start. They walked together to the grand chamber. It was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Jane was surprised to find herself the center of attention. Today, announced the head counselor, we honor Dr. Jane Miller of Earth as she returns home. Her work changed not just our medicine, but our understanding of life itself. The room erupted in applause. Jane felt tears in her eyes. And to mark this occasion, the counselor continued, we are unveiling a new memorial in the center of the hub. The lights dimmed, and a holographic display showed a beautiful monument. Carved in stone were the words, time is measured not in years, but in adaptation. The human gift to the stars. Later, as Jane prepared to board her ship back to Earth, Krell gave her a small box. A gift, he said. Open it when you're home. Back on Earth, in her small house by the ocean, Jane finally opened Krell's gift. Inside was a crystal that showed images from across the galaxy. Children of countless species running, playing, learning, and living with the same intensity humans had always known. A note came with it. They once laughed at human lifespans. Now they aspire to human living. You taught us that it's not how long you exist, but how fully you live that matters. The stars will remember. Jane placed the crystal on her windowsill where the sun could catch it. As it glowed with images of vibrant life spreading across the galaxy, she smiled. The truth about humans wasn't that they were short-lived. The truth was that they had always known how to truly live.